What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about the recent firing over at Kotaku. So this is not somebody leaving on their free will. This is somebody being terminated by the company, and it's their editor-in-chief. So this person went up the ranks at Kotaku back in the day. I guess they left back, and they were actually working at Polygon as a culture editor, whatever the heck that means. And then they went over back to Kotaku in 2021 as the editor-in-chief. So this person has been responsible for the last 2 years of Kotaku's mishaps, let's say. Now, when they said stuff on Twitter, she had mentioned things like, when the company gets mad at you for writing about Tears of the Kingdom just a few days after Tears of the Kingdom comes out, seems like, I guess if you read it just that way, then, right, you'd almost understand the individual and you'd say, well, maybe they're being told from the higher ups, hey, don't cover the biggest games that are out there. But as we saw, like with the Hogwarts Legacy example, not just from Kotaku, but kind of industry wide, it seems like they make their own decisions sometimes, right? And they say, hey, we're just not going to cover this biggest game of all time, or I guess, of the month, let's say, when Hogwarts Legacy came out. Maybe then they wanted to do Legend of Zelda. Look, long way of saying nothing of value I do think was lost. It's tough. It's tough whenever things like this happen, because then you got to go into, well, you got to say, or do you actually think, well, it sucks for people to lose their jobs. Look, where I've always stood on this situation is I think generally I have always been on that side. It's, this is not the time for people to lose their jobs, lose, their revenue. The economy obviously isn't doing so well. And many people across the world, in the United States, whatever, they're struggling. 1,000%. Everybody, I think a lot of people, maybe not everybody, but a good amount of people. But at the same time, karma, I do believe, is real, whether you believe in religious stuff or whether you believe in karma, whatever. Kotaku is an absolute garbage site. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that it's not. I don't think anybody, the funny thing is, as Kotaku continues to live and really slowly decay right into nothingness, they have less and less fans. There is, I don't even know a single person, and I would love to meet somebody who literally does go to Kotaku for their gaming news. It used to be a place. 1,000% used to be a place to go for breaking rumors or leaks or news, and they would beat IGN by 3-4 days. It was actually ridiculous how much better Kotaku was than the IGNs or the GameSpot of the world. That was actually back in the very early 2010s, maybe in the late 2000s. But since then, this site has become the absolute worst. And again, I can't imagine somebody legitimately going to the site and thinking that they're getting the news of the day of the gaming industry. They don't cover the news of the day for the gaming industry. They're not up to date with rumors or leaks. They break one thing every 4 or 5 months. They broke, I think, last month or the month before, the Assassin's Creed Black Flag, remake. That was the last. I mean, I don't even remember the last time they broke something before then. So they maybe do 2 to 4 big things per year, and that definitely wasn't what they used to do. On top of course, the attacking and the divisiveness. You might say, well, Alex, you're being kind of harsh, kind of aggressive to them. Their entire thing, their entire purpose in life really is to be that, right? Because nobody goes, because nobody cares about them, they resort primarily on Twitter and those kind of social media to doing very clickbaity titles, but not clickbaity in terms of this is huge. There's a lot of YouTubers that'll say the biggest news just dropped, or this is huge, this game just got an update, and the game didn't even get, and there's a lot of really atrocious clickbait. They do clickbait like that is atrocious, but they do it in the hating way. So they'll do very divisive topics. Of course, my favorite thing that we've talked about with Kotaku in the past is they attack game developers. Then they tell us, of course, to be nice to them. That's one of my favorite things, for us to be told to do something in the gaming industry when them themselves don't do it. And they tell us to do it. I love it when that happens. It's the greatest feeling of planet Earth. But you also have then companies boycotting them. So again, this has been a long decline. And why am I bringing all this stuff up? Well, when an editor-in-chief gets fired, when I think about, well, who proofreads these atrocious articles? Who allows the Joe Biden versus Donald Trump PS5 review thing? Who allows that to happen? Well, eventually it gets to like a managing editor, but like that person was put in charge by the editor-in-chief. Maybe the editor-in-chief reads these things over. So many of these garbage decisions that Kotaku has done, eventually it has to eventually kind of rise to the top of that company. I don't care if your higher up ownership company is telling you to not talk about Zelda. How about the day-to-day things that you do that are trash? How about the terrible titles? How about the fact that you're not really a news outlet? You don't cover gaming news. You complain a lot. You get mad a lot. You create divisive titles and articles that have no purpose in the industry. Then you get boycotted from the industry and say, well, we're not going to let you play Assassin's Creed early. And then you cry about it. And all of this stuff happens literally day to day. Like every day something happens over there. And is that the fault of the bigger company, or is that the fault of the higher ups on the team at Kotaku? I think it's that one. So I don't know really what happens there. Does somebody get like promoted? Look, I think everybody is kind of on the same page, and I really do believe like Kotaku will be the first one to fall. 1,000. We are so close. We're so close to the complete collapse of a lot of these gaming outlets. We are right at the tip where they fired people, the revenue is down. They say they're important. They say they get these high clicks and stuff. Ultimately, though, we're at the end of the story. We're at the end of the story of where these companies close. And I think we're all kind of on the same page that Kotaku is probably the first one. We know because they're not profitable and they've been sold a couple of times. We know like their value as a company is like zero. They have no worth. They've been sold off for far less than they were originally bought for. So like we know that number. The IGNs of the world, the Polygons and GameSpots. Obviously, like IGN, I guess, is kind of a tier above, right? They're not going anywhere. But when you think of these kind of mid-tier sites that probably aren't making money, they rely on the ad rates, and those are continuing to dry up. They pay their people more and more and more. It's garbage. Nobody actually clicks on anything that they make. They're at the very end. And I think Kotaku is the first one to fall. So firing their editor-in-chief might be the final, I guess, way of trying to stop this. Like if there's any chance of Kotaku not completely collapsing, maybe it's literally the one who manages all of the articles, all of the content. Again, I'm sure they get told stuff from above. That's definitely true. But day to day, they're the boss. And, firing them, maybe you replace them with somebody better. But I feel like the entire culture of Kotaku, well, two things. Number one, I don't really know if there's anybody talented that actually works at Kotaku. And number two, they're all the exact same person. I've said that time and time again. The entire gaming journalist media are basically the same person multiplied by however many of them there are. When you are kind of different, the Colin Moriartys of the world, you get kicked out. You get blacklisted. You get hated by everybody else. We've seen this happen not just with Colin, but with other people as well. Everybody in the industry is basically the same person. So what I'm saying here is if there is a replacement and you're saying, well, maybe the new editor-in-chief replacement's better, they're probably the exact same person anyway. So nothing, in my opinion, is going to change. I really can't imagine anything changing there. So there we go. I got to ventilate. I love talking about these kind of things. It lets me kind of get some stuff off the chest, my built-up rage, which, by the way, a lot of these sites, they hate YouTubers. I mean, Jason Schreiers of the world, right, who used to work at Kotaku, now Bloomberg, like he despises, most YouTubers out there. These people do not like us in general because we kind of took their jobs. So they don't like me. I guess I don't like them. We're all even. We're all square. Let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed, bell icon turned on. And I hope to see you all on the next one.